In a galaxy far away, darkness hung over many planets. The Zalthari Empire, known for its ruthless strength, was winning every battle. Alien races trembled in fear as their worlds fell to the invaders. Cities burned and people fled, leaving behind their homes. The Zalthari had taken control of many star systems, and whispers of defeat spread among the survivors. They believed the end was near. On a small blue planet named Viridian, hope was almost lost. The last remaining forces of various alien races gathered in a hidden base. Among them were the fierce Tharnans, the wise Elvari, and the agile Zirkons. Their leaders met in a dimly lit room, their faces drawn and weary. The Zalthari commander, Lord Carthon, was ruthless. He had a reputation for crushing his enemies without mercy. "This is our last stand," said Varnock, the leader of the Tharnans, his voice heavy with sorrow. "If we don't act now, we will all be wiped out. The Zalthari will not stop until they claim every planet." Elira, the leader of the Elvari, nodded. "We must find a way to fight back. But our forces are weak. We need a miracle." The room fell silent. The weight of despair pressed on everyone's shoulders. It was then that a faint signal crackled through their communication devices. A human voice came through, clear and strong. "Attention, this is Captain Alara Hayes of the Starship Vigilant. We are here to help." The alien leaders looked at each other in surprise. Humans were known for their courage and cleverness, but they had not been seen in this part of the galaxy for years. "Could they really help? Why should we trust them?" muttered Zorak, the leader of the Zirkons. "Humans have their own battles to fight. They won't risk their lives for us." But Varnock spoke up. "We have no choice. If they are willing to come, we should at least listen. Perhaps they can offer a plan." With a heavy heart, the leaders decided to meet Alara. They gathered in a larger room, waiting anxiously. Moments later, a hologram of Captain Alara Hayes appeared before them. She stood tall, her eyes fierce and full of determination. "Thank you for allowing me to speak with you," she began. "I know the situation is dire, but I believe together we can turn the tide against the Zalthari." Alara shared her plan. She wanted to attack the Zalthari forces while they were still regrouping. The humans would strike quickly and use their advanced technology to confuse and surprise the enemy. This would give the alien races a chance to fight back. "The Zalthari think they are unstoppable," Alara said confidently, "but they are not prepared for a united front. We must act fast." Elira felt a spark of hope. "What do you need from us?" she asked, eager to join the fight. Alara smiled. "We will need your best fighters. We will combine our strengths. Humans have skills in combat and tactics that can give us an edge. But we will also rely on your knowledge of the Zalthari." The alien leaders began to discuss among themselves. This was their chance, their last hope. They could not let fear hold them back any longer. After a tense moment, Varnock spoke again. "We will join you, Captain. If we fail, we have nothing left to lose." Elara nodded, her heart racing with excitement and fear. "Then let's prepare for battle. We will show the Zalthari that we are not defeated yet." As the aliens rallied their forces and the humans prepared their ship, hope began to rise. The stars above shone brightly, as if they too were cheering for the united front that was about to form. Together, they would face the darkness and fight for their worlds. The battle for the galaxy was about to begin, and this time they would not face it alone. The day had come. The Vigilance soared through the stars, carrying Captain Alara Hayes and her brave crew toward the planet Viridian. They were determined to help the alien resistance fight against the Zalthari Empire. As they approached, Elara stood at the helm, her heart pounding with excitement and fear. "Captain, we're nearing the planet's atmosphere," said Marcus, the ship's pilot. He looked back at Elara with a mix of hope and concern. "What's our plan?" Elara took a deep breath, looking at the display screen that showed the planet below. "We will arrive just above the alien forces. We need to create confusion among the Zalthari troops and give the resistance a chance to fight back." The crew nodded, ready to follow their captain into battle. As they descended, the view changed dramatically. The once vibrant colors of Viridian were now overshadowed by dark clouds and the smoke of war. Zalthari ships filled the skies, and below the alien resistance was losing ground. "Prepare for battle!" Elara shouted. "Activate the shields and arm the weapons." As the Vigilant broke through the clouds, they spotted the alien fighters on the ground. Zalthari ships were attacking with laser beams, and the resistance was struggling to hold their position. Elara could see fear in the eyes of the alien fighters, but she knew they had to act quickly. "Now! Let's show them what we can do." Ilara commanded, and Marcus launched the ship into a dive toward the Zalthari forces. The ship roared through the sky, and Ilara pressed a button, releasing a barrage of missiles. They streaked toward the Zalthari ships, exploding in brilliant flashes of light. The Zalthari were taken by surprise, and for a moment, confusion spread among their ranks. "Look! The humans are attacking!" yelled a Zalthari officer, his voice filled with panic. "Reinforcements now!" The resistance fighters below were shocked at the sight. Seeing the vigilant attack gave them renewed strength. They started to fight back harder, taking advantage of the Zalthari's confusion. "Follow the vigilant! Attack!" Varnock shouted, his voice booming over the comms. The alien fighters rallied, launching their own attacks alongside the humans. Ilara watched as the resistance pushed forward. The Zalthari were caught off guard, but they quickly regrouped. Their ships fired back with fierce intensity, and the battle became chaotic. "Captain, we're taking fire!" Marcus warned, gripping the controls tightly as the ship rocked from the blasts. "Stay steady! We can't back down now!" Ilara replied, her voice strong. She knew they had to press on. The resistance needed their help to gain the upper hand. Just then, a bright light flashed in front of them. A Zalthari cruiser had targeted the Vigilant directly. Ilara's heart raced as she pulled the ship into a sharp turn to avoid the incoming fire. The ship swerved, narrowly escaping a barrage of lasers. "We need to disable that cruiser!" Ilara shouted, her mind racing with ideas. "Marcus, can you take us closer?" "On it!" he replied, steering the ship towards the enemy cruiser. The Vigilant flew low and fast, and Ilara prepared to fire again. "Now!" she commanded, and Marcus unleashed another wave of missiles. They struck the cruiser, causing it to shudder and veer off course. "Direct hit! It's going down!" Marcus cheered, but Ilara didn't have time to celebrate. The Zalthari were regrouping, and they needed to act fast. As the Zalthari cruisers began to retreat, Ilara noticed the remaining ships preparing for one last desperate attack. "We have to keep pushing. We can't let them escape!" she urged. With renewed determination, Ilara and her crew pressed forward. The fight raged on, and for the first time, hope flickered in the hearts of the resistance fighters. They saw that together, humans and aliens could stand against the might of the Zalthari. The battle continued, and though it was fierce, every moment brought them closer to victory. Together they fought side by side, united against a common enemy. The tide was turning, and they were ready to face whatever came next. After the first battle, a sense of excitement filled the air on Viridian. The Zalthari had been pushed back, and the resistance felt a spark of hope. Captain Ilara Hayes and her crew aboard the Vigilant were hailed as heroes, but Ilara knew that victory alone would not win the trust of the alien races. They needed to build strong bonds if they were to fight together effectively. The next day, Ilara gathered the leaders of the resistance at their hidden base. Varnock, Ilara, and Zorak arrived, still buzzing from the thrill of their victory. Ilara stood at the front, looking at each leader with determination. "Thank you for joining me," Ilara began, her voice steady. "Yesterday was just the beginning. We must work together to ensure our success in future battles." Varnock stepped forward, his eyes shining with respect. "Your crew fought bravely. We owe you our lives, but we have much to learn about each other. How can we trust you fully?" Ilara nodded, understanding the need for trust. "I promise to be honest with you. We are all in this together. Our enemies want to destroy us, and if we do not unite, we will fail." Zorak, the leader of the Zircons, crossed his arms and raised an eyebrow. "Trust is built over time, Captain. What will you do to show us you are worthy of it?" Ilara spoke up, her voice calm. "Perhaps we should train together? If we understand each other's strengths and weaknesses, we can fight better as one." Ilara smiled, encouraged by their willingness to work together. "That's an excellent idea. We can set up joint training exercises starting tomorrow. I will share our combat techniques, and you can teach us your unique skills." The leaders agreed, and soon they began planning the training. Over the next few days, they focused on building camaraderie between their forces. The aliens and humans trained side by side, learning from each other. Ilara's crew showed the resistance how to use advanced human technology, while the aliens taught the humans their unique fighting styles and strategies. One day, during a training session, Ilara noticed a young Tharnan named Kira struggling to keep up. She approached the girl, who was practicing her moves with a sword. "You're doing great, Kira. Just keep your balance," Ilara encouraged. Kira looked up, her eyes wide with surprise. You really think so, Captain? I'm not as strong as the others. Ilara smiled warmly. Strength comes in many forms. It's not just about power, it's about skill and heart. I see both in you. Just keep trying! With a determined nod, Kira went back to practicing, and Ilara felt a sense of pride in her team. As days turned into weeks, the bonds between the humans and the alien races grew stronger. They laughed together, shared stories, and even celebrated their victories. One evening, after a long day of training, Varnock approached Ilara as the sun set, casting a warm glow over the base. Captain, I believe we have made significant progress. Our fighters are more confident and they trust your crew. Ilara nodded, feeling a sense of relief. Thank you, Varnock. It means a lot to hear that. But we still have much to do. The Zalthari will not give up easily. Just then, a loud alarm rang throughout the base. Intruder alert! Zalthari ships are approaching! The room filled with urgency as everyone rushed to their stations. Ilara quickly gathered her team. We need to be ready! This could be a test of our strength and trust. The resistance fighters, now trained and more confident, prepared for battle. Ilara knew that their training had brought them closer, but this would be their real challenge. Would they fight together as one? As the Zalthari ships descended from the sky, Ilara and the alien leaders stood side by side. Their hearts raced, but they were ready. Remember what we practiced, Ilara shouted, raising her weapon. Fight for your homes! Fight for each other! Together they charged into battle, united in their cause. The moment had come to prove their trust and determination. They would face the Zalthari together, and this time they would show them that they were stronger than ever. The tension in the air was thick as Captain Ilara Hayes and her crew prepared for the next step in their fight against the Zalthari Empire. After their last battle, they learned that the Zalthari had a secret weapon hidden in an underground facility on Viridian. If they could destroy it, they would weaken the enemy's forces significantly. Ilara gathered her team and the resistance leaders in the command room. We have a dangerous mission ahead of us, she began, looking around at the determined faces. We need to infiltrate the Zalthari facility and destroy their secret weapon. This will be a stealth mission. We cannot alert the enemy. Varnock, the alien leader, nodded. We have a map of the area. The facility is heavily guarded, but I believe we can find a way in. Ilara added, we can use the underground tunnels. They are old, but can lead us close to the facility. However, we must be careful. Zalthari patrols are everywhere. The team reviewed the map and planned their approach. Ilara divided them into small groups. Each group had a mix of humans and aliens, ensuring they would work together as a united force. Remember, our goal is to stay silent, Ilara instructed. We will move quickly and quietly. If we are spotted, the mission will fail. As night fell, they set out under the cover of darkness. The stars twinkled above and the air was cool. Ilara led her team through the underground tunnels, which were dark and damp. The sound of water dripping echoed around them. Stay close, Ilara whispered. We're almost there. After a long trek, they reached a hidden entrance near the facility. The team paused, their hearts racing with excitement and fear. Ilara signaled for everyone to stay quiet as she peeked out. The facility was guarded by Zalthari soldiers, standing alert with their weapons ready. They're tougher than I expected, Marcus whispered, nervously shifting his weight. Ilara nodded. We need to wait for the right moment to move. Once we're in, we'll have to be quick. They waited for what felt like an eternity. Finally, a group of Zalthari soldiers began to walk away from the entrance, leaving a gap in their defenses. Now! Ilara ordered, and the team slipped out of the tunnel and into the shadows. They moved swiftly and silently, using the darkness to their advantage. As they approached the facility, the team split up, each group taking a different route to confuse the guards. Ilara led her team toward the main control room. They found a door that was slightly ajar. She pushed it open and they slipped inside. The room was filled with strange machinery, blinking lights, and screens displaying information about the weapon. This must be it, Ilara said, her eyes wide with determination. We need to find the weapon's core and destroy it. Suddenly, a Zalthari guard entered the room. Ilara quickly signaled for silence. The guard looked around, suspicious but unaware of their presence. Holding her breath, Ilara waited for him to leave. After what felt like an eternity, he walked out, and the team exhaled in relief. Let's move, Ilara whispered, leading them deeper into the facility. They soon discovered a large chamber where the secret weapon was kept. It was massive, a powerful device designed to unleash destruction across Viridian. Look at that! Marcus exclaimed, his eyes wide. "We have to stop it!" Ilara nodded. "We'll set the explosives here." She pulled out a pack filled with explosives and began placing them around the weapon. As they worked, they heard footsteps approaching. "We don't have much time," Ilara urged, her voice tense. "Almost done," Ilara replied, her hands shaking slightly as she secured the last explosive. "Let's go!" Varnock shouted, and they raced back toward the exit. But as they reached the door, they were met by a group of Zalthari soldiers, weapons drawn. "Stop! Intruders!" one of the guards yelled. Ilara's heart raced. "Fight or run," she shouted to her team. "Fight!" Varnock replied, raising his weapon. With no time to waste, they charged forward, determined to escape and complete their mission. The battle was fierce, but the team fought bravely together. They needed to get out before the explosives detonated. The news spread quickly throughout Viridian. The attack on the Zalthari facility had been a success. Ilara Hayes and her crew had destroyed the secret weapon, but the Zalthari were furious. They prepared for a massive retaliation against the resistance, and it was clear that a final battle was coming. Captain Ilara gathered her team and the leaders of the resistance in the command room. The atmosphere was tense as they discussed their next move. "We have dealt a blow to the Zalthari, but now they will come at us with everything they have," Ilara said, looking around at the determined faces. "We need to be ready." Varnock, the Tharnan leader, spoke up. "We cannot let fear control us. We must stand together and show the Zalthari that we will not back down." Ilara nodded. "We've trained hard for this moment. We know each other's strengths and weaknesses. We can do this!" As the sun set, the resistance fighters prepared for battle. Ilara felt a mix of excitement and fear. She knew that this fight would determine their future. "Let's review our plan," she said, gathering everyone's attention. They would set up their defenses in a strategic location, a rocky plateau overlooking the valley where the Zalthari army would approach. Ilara wanted to use the terrain to their advantage. "We will hold them here and push them back," she explained. "If we work together, we can win." As night fell, the stars sparkled above them. The resistance fighters took their positions, their hearts racing with anticipation. Ilara looked out over the valley, knowing that the Zalthari were coming. The sounds of marching feet echoed in the distance, growing louder with each passing moment. Suddenly, a loud horn blared from the Zalthari camp. It was a signal for attack. "Get ready!" Ilara shouted, gripping her weapon tightly. The resistance fighters braced themselves, their eyes fixed on the approaching enemy. The Zalthari army charged forward, a dark wave of fury and destruction. Ilara's team fired their weapons, the blasts lighting up the night. "Hold the line!" she yelled, rallying her fighters. "We can do this!" The battle began with chaos. Explosions rocked the ground, and the air was filled with smoke and the sounds of clashing weapons. Ilara fought alongside her friends, feeling the adrenaline coursing through her veins. They were outnumbered, but they were not afraid. Varnock led a group of fighters to flank the Zalthari on the left side, while Ilara coordinated the defenses from the high ground. Ilara moved through the chaos, dodging enemy fire and encouraging her team. "We are stronger together," she shouted. As the battle raged on, the Zalthari pushed forward, determined to break the resistance. Ilara could see their leader, a towering figure with a dark helmet, rallying his troops. "We must take him down," she thought. "If we defeat their leader, we can turn the tide." Ilara rallied a small group of her best fighters and moved toward the enemy commander. They fought their way through the chaos, determined to reach their goal. With each step, the air grew thicker with tension. When they finally reached the Zalthari leader, he turned to face them, a wicked grin spreading across his face. "You think you can defeat me, humans? Your fight is pointless," he sneered. But Ilara stood tall, her heart steady. "We fight for our freedom, and we will not back down." The battle intensified as they clashed with the Zalthari leader. He was powerful, but Ilara and her team fought with everything they had. With a final fierce strike, Ilara delivered a blow that sent the Zalthari leader crashing to the ground. As he fell, the Zalthari army hesitated. The resistance fighters seized the moment, pushing forward with renewed strength. The tide of battle shifted. Ilara felt a surge of hope as she saw the enemy falter. The Zalthari soldiers began to retreat, fear etched on their faces. "We did it!" Ilara shouted, her voice filled with joy. "We are winning!" As the last of the Zalthari fled, the resistance erupted in cheers. They had fought bravely, and their unity had triumphed over the enemy. Ilara stood amidst her friends, overwhelmed with pride. They had done the impossible. They had defeated the Zalthari. As the sun rose over Viridian, the resistance fighters celebrated their victory. They had faced their fears and come out stronger. Ilara looked at her team and the alien leaders, knowing that together they had forged a new future. "Today we stand united," Ilara said, raising her weapon high. "Together we are unstoppable." And as the cheers rang out, Ilara knew that this was just the beginning of their journey. They had built trust, fought as one, and now they would continue to protect their world together. As they battled through the guards, Ilara felt a surge of adrenaline. They were fighting not just for themselves, but for their new friends and for freedom. Together they would overcome this challenge.